Welcome to Heal on Purpose, where we stop hiding and start healing. I'm Tajuana. I am your hostess with the mostest, and I'm so excited to be talking about this particular P because this was my opening into personal development, self-improvement. This was one of the first terms that I had attached myself to when I had started reflecting on my life, my choices, what was working, what was not working. People pleasing was one of the first words that I knew my behavior, my thought patterns was attached to. So let me give you a little background. I have been on my personal development journey for, let me see, I'm 58. I would say probably over 30 years, I would say. Anything that could help me improve, get better, move from where I was to where I desire to be, I've done it all. And when I was probably in my 30s, was when I realized, okay, something has got to change because I had not yet recognized that it was entitled people pleasing, but I knew I was exhausted. And I think for me, every pivotal year, my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, I've gone through this like reckoning, this kind of evolution that happens for me about every 10 years. So I'm excited about what 60 is going to bring in a couple of years. One of the things that I realized as I was reflecting on my behavior in my 30s was that if I was not the person reaching out, my phone didn't ring. And I had been so focused for years, really making sure that everybody else was happy, making sure that everybody else had what they need, making sure that if you needed me, I was there, that I really had not created that environment for myself. And it wasn't until I started kind of acknowledging that, being aware of that, that I could really start this really lifelong journey of unraveling the people pleasing tendencies that I had. And so even recently, I'm taking a spiritual hygiene class with Iyanla. And even then, there are still those remnants of people pleasing that is still showing up. And uh, I'm I'm happy that now I can catch it a little bit sooner than what I have in the past. I can spot it um, when I am in that kind of people pleasing tendency. And what I have been practicing, integrating, uh, learning is how can I put myself higher on my own list each and every day. It is literally a practice every single day. Every single day. I am thinking about my behavior. And so let me give an example. This was maybe maybe a week or so ago. I was going to go see my mom, and I also wanted to get me, I love a protein smoothie from Rise. It's got me in a chokehold. And so Rise closed at 2. I was thinking, okay, it was maybe 1 o'clock. I was like, okay, I can just go over my mom's and then I can just leave a little bit earlier and then go to Rise and make it there at 2 o'clock. And it happens so subtly that I was like, no, Tajuana, why don't you go to Rise first? Sit down, have a meal, do a little work, read, and then you can go over to your mom's house and spend more time and not be so rushed. Those are the little examples that I am still practicing. Do I do the things first that support me? Or do I jump right in and do the things that support other people? It has been a journey. And, I really wanted to spend some time talking about this P because I've been getting a little bit of traction on these uh, Google articles that I review. I try to do one every day, if not every day, most days, because it is allowing me to learn more about the 3 Ps of imposter syndrome and to see what sparks a comment, a like, a share from other people. And so this one particular article that I reviewed really was talking about there were 7 behaviors that could come out of if you grew up in a certain kind of home. It was people pleasing in there. It was fear. It was a whole lot of different things. And so there were comments like, well, I have all of these. There was a comment, interestingly enough, that one of the ladies said that she felt like people pleasing, the people pleasers, was a form of narcissism. And I was like, well, now, isn't that interesting? I had never thought about that. And, I did a little research and it was like, it can be, have some resemblance a little bit because you, as a people pleaser, you want to do things perfect. It's all about this kind of facade, this kind of environment that you create, that you do whatever you need to do so that everybody else is happy. So I was like, okay, that's very interesting. That I just thought it was interesting that she thought that people pleasing was part of being a narcissist. I was just like, well, that's a whole new thing for me to ponder and consider. And so I knew that people pleasing was a hot button for people. And I really wanted to talk about it because one of the things, the tagline that I talk about is hiding ain't healing. Hiding is not healing. And one of the ways that I have hidden in the past that people hide is through people pleasing. Here's the thing about people pleasing that I have learned from my own journey is when I was in the throes of people pleasing, when at the end of the day, I would be exhausted because I had gone here, done this, paid for that. Just a whole host of things. I began to realize that I really didn't know me, myself, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I enjoyed doing, what I didn't enjoy doing, because I had spent so many years being this chameleon of a person that it really took years for me to begin to lean in to who I really was. And when people pleasing is at its highest, is when fear is at its highest. Because this whole thing about people pleasing and fear being the foundation for that is around you don't want anybody to be mad at you. You want to make sure that everybody is supported. You don't want people to think that you are mean, that you are selfish, that you don't care about them, that there's this whole fear of if I say no, they're not going to like me. They're going to think I'm mean. They're not going to be around me. I won't be loved. I mean, there's this whole spiral that happens around fear. Fear happens to be the foundation for imposter syndrome, people pleasing, procrastination, and perfectionism. All of them. The fear shows up in different ways, but it's all one coin. Many different sides, but all one coin. Because it is said, and I don't remember who said it, but it is said that there's only two emotions, fear and love. And where there is love, there can't be fear. Where there is fear, there is not love. And so think about that as you are considering which P you are living in. Is it imposter syndrome? Is it people pleasing, procrastination, perfectionism? What is it? Because there is an underbelly of fear in that is preventing you from showing up from who you really are. So I wanted to give a quote, because I love quotes. And this quote is from Brené Brown, and it says, "When we're busy pleasing, perfecting, and performing, we end up saying yes a lot when we mean no." And that really sums up the 3 Ps of imposter syndrome as it relates to people pleasing, because you do end up saying yes to everyone but yourself. And when you first become aware of that, there's this process that you go through of, is this when I can say no? Can I have them? Is this the person that I can practice saying no to? How can I practice saying no and they not be mad at me? And so one of the things that I incorporate is I pre-plan my no. I come up with a script that I'm going to say if they ask me to do something that I do not want to do. One of the easiest ways that I've done that is to say, let me get back to you. It doesn't matter if it's yes or if it's no. The practice is in the response. Let me get back to you. And then you have to be a woman or a man of your word and actually get back to them with a yes or no. But you want to put a little space in between the ask of the other person and your response. You want to put some space there so that you can deal with the emotions of you practicing saying no to other people and yes to yourself. And I think that is really how you should look at the practice. I am saying no to them. However, I'm saying yes to myself. I'm going to say yes to myself, I have to say no to them, because it's like this teeter-totter where you are learning to balance yourself more on the scale. And so you have to shift your focus to you more than you have in the past. And listen, it's a practice. It's going to take some time. You will think that you have a script in mind, and then they will ask you, and then you will just automatically say yes. What you have to be open, you don't have to. What I would encourage you to be open to is to just giving yourself some grace, because you are learning to do something new. Nobody's taught you how to do it. There's not really a script for it. You're practicing. And when you're practicing, sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. Really be gentle with yourself as you are moving through this awareness of people pleasing. And I think it's so interesting, the name people pleasing, because you really are pleasing the people. You are pleasing the people out. You are pleasing all of the people out here. And the practice is to please inward, to please inside, to please you. And so it is a practice. And one of the things that I think is also important to keep in mind is that for most people, these 3 P's have something to do with how you grew up. How safe did you feel? Did you grow up in a home where you were criticized or your mistakes were pointed out? Did you grow up where in an environment where your parents were arguing or fighting? Because all of that has everything to do with which P you are experiencing, because you develop those P's as a coping mechanism. And so one of the things that I am also learning is this whole thing of me supporting myself and taking care of myself emotionally, mentally, physically, spirit, all the least is what I call them. Because I have been so focused on taking care of other people that now the practice is taking care of me. And that looks like a whole multitude of different things. One of my greatest challenges is taking care of myself physically. So some of the things that I am incorporating is noticing when I'm thirsty and drinking some water. Noticing if I'm sleepy, if I'm yawning, maybe I should take a nap. Noticing if I'm hungry, the foods that I'm going to put into my body. Or one of the things that I've been doing for the last, 4 or 5 months maybe, is intermittent fasting. Because I am relearning, releasing the tendencies that I've had to people please, I have had to integrate taking care of myself. So it shifts from pleasing outwardly to pleasing inwardly. What do I need? How can I support myself? What is the best thing that I can do for me? And really listening to what my body is saying, if I have a thought about something. So let me give you another example. This week, I woke up and I was doing some journaling, and I just had the thought, the download, the inspiration. I was like, maybe I should get a massage. It was such a small little whisper that if I was not paying enough attention, that I would have probably dismissed it. So I got on the phone, I made an appointment, I could get in that day, and I got a massage. I was so proud of myself. Proud of myself because I listened to what I needed. I acted on it. I made an appointment, and I went and actually got a massage that day. That is the practice. That's how the practice can look when you are shifting outside to inside. And it really is a shift. It really is a shift of you listening to the downloads, the thoughts, the nudges, the inspiration that you get, and moving in that direction. Call it intuition, call it women's intuition, but really practicing listening to yourself, what you need, how you can support yourself, what you like, what you want to do. Here's another thing that I'm going to do this weekend. I am going to go see Toy Story 5. I think it's 5. Because that was one of the things that my son loved when he was growing up was Toy Story. You know, we had all the Buzz Lightyear. We had all the little action figures. They was everywhere. And what I also know to be true is that is really going to connect with my inner child, because I'll get to play and have fun and remember and reminisce, and think I'll get to do all the things. And that is something that I will do just for me. When you are experiencing, so first, let me interject here, because I want to talk about a couple of movies that, because we're all about tools here. So I gave you a quote that you can use and reference as a tool. I want to give you a couple of movies. One is Yes Man with Jim Carrey. I think it came out in 2008. And he literally says yes to everything out of fear. Like, how appropriate. So that would be one movie that I would suggest. Another movie that I would suggest is The Devil Wears Prada. The Devil Wears Prada, the first one. And you can literally see how she is trying to please Andy, I think is her name. She loses herself in pleasing everyone else. So those are two movies that I would suggest you watch. That would be a great tool, so that you can kind of see this people pleasing and saying yes, how it looks outside of you. And when you're looking at these movies, don't look at it from a place of judging the person. Well, he did that. So look at it from how you see yourself in that person's actions. How are you and that person more alike than you are different? How is that person a reflection of you? That's how I want you to think about it. And you can journal about it. You can take notes about it, because these tools are really going to help you practice noticing and then making a choice to continue to put yourself first. I also want to, since we're talking about tools, I want to give you a book recommendation. And the book recommendation is The Disease to Please. And the author is Harriet B. Braiker. I want you can listen to the book, buy the book, rent the book from from the library, but really start to get more information about people pleasing that will help you unravel it. Because the more you are aware of it, the more you can see yourself in other people, the more you can learn more about it. That will help you begin this process of unraveling people pleasing and putting yourself first. One of the things that I've also noticed about people pleasing is that as I begin this process of pleasing myself, putting myself first, listening to the things that I need, supporting myself, it really builds self-confidence. Every time you say yes to yourself and no to the whims and the desires and the needs of other people, you sit up a little straighter. You have a little more confidence. You are building this case of being a woman or a man of your word. Because you are literally keeping the promises that you make to yourself. As you continue to keep the promises that you make to yourself, you will continue to build more courage. You will continue to be brave and take brave steps that are going to lead you closer to who you are, because that's what this is about. That's what this practice is. I also want to give you one final tool, and that is a journaling prompt. I have had so many conversations, so many thoughts about journaling because I think that there are a lot of people, there are a lot of people who are very resistant to journaling. And it's my belief that you are resistant to journaling because it's just you, some paper, and a pen. And for some people, I think being alone with their thoughts is something new. It is something that they don't feel comfortable with. It is something that they don't know what to do with. And so a lot of people just are resistant to doing it. I tell people all the time, if you can't afford therapy, if you don't have a therapist, if it's a therapist is not in your plan, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to journal. Because it's you, your thoughts, your reflection, your ideas, and a piece of paper. Nothing on the piece of paper is wrong. You're not going to be judged for it. If you don't feel comfortable having it around, write it all down, be as specific and as raw as possible, and then burn it, tear it up, rip it. You can do a whole host of things, but the goal is to really spend some time reflecting on your life. So let me give you an example. So I also help people find their purpose through Destiny Works. And we have this whole process that you go through. And people are amazed at the process because it involves you literally sitting down and thinking about your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how the puzzle pieces of your life, how they fit together. You'd be surprised that people never do that. People never reflect. They never think about, oh, well, this happened. Oh, that also happened. People don't reflect about their life. And that's really the only way that you can connect the dots. dots is backwards. I don't know who said that. I think it was a quote from somebody. But you can only connect the dots backwards. But if you don't take time to connect the dots, you will never see the picture. Journaling is one of the most supportive things that you can do for you. It doesn't cost you anything. You can go sit at a park, in your car, on the toilet. It doesn't matter where you do it. What matters is that you spend some time with you reflecting on your life. And here's the thing. Do you notice how that is inside? That doesn't have anything to do with the people, places, and the things that you're used to pleasing. This has to do with you pleasing you, with you getting to know you. Journaling is one of the best ways that you can get to know you, but you got to be willing. You have to be willing to take a moment and sit down and reflect on your life, because you're worth it. And don't let the enemy make you think that you're not worth your own time, because you are. And you have to be willing. So let me give you the journaling prompt. Think about the last time you said yes, when you wanted to say no. Think about what you were afraid of, and did that fear really come true? Because I want you to start thinking about how fear shows up and how you will people please in an effort not to feel the fear. And the fear may not even be there. It may not even happen. It's never as bad as what we think it might be. So this is the other P. I'm so glad that you stuck around. Tell me something that you learned in this episode. And we'll be back next week. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about another P.